ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ऋकारस्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः विष्णुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवागुंसस्तनूभिः यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ प्रज्ञानां सुप्रतानैः स्थिरचरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्टान् पुनरपि दिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नः। माया सङ्ख्यातुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। अलातशान्ति. This prakarana is focused on discussing the contrary philosophies and their mutual contradictions. Avita Nyayena Alata Shantri Prakaranam Arabhyate, and it is an Upasamhara conclusion of all the discussions which have happened so far in the three Prakaranas. Bhutasya Jatimichanti Vadinaha Kechidevahi Abhutasya apare dhiraha vivadantaha parasparam. We stopped with this. Bhutasya jatim kechidvadinaha ichanti. So some of the people, which means Sankhyas here, they claim that the creation is from an existing entity. Bhutasya jatim, an existing entity is from which the srishti has happened. So these are all jativada, that there is an actual srishti, actual creation. Okay, both of them are jativadas. Advaita is ajati. That we should be very clear. Now, the people who say that there is a jati, the birth is there for the srishti, there are two main contenders. One is Sankhyas, the other is Nyaya Vaiseshika. So here the Karikakara is showing that they themselves are mutually contradicting each other and dismissing each other. Okay. So Bhutasya Jati Michanti, the Sankhyas, for them, the creation is from a Sadvastu. We will look at what is that Sadvastu in a bit. But yes, from a Sat only the creation has come about. That is what they say. Bhutasya Jati Michanti Vadinaha Kechideva. Then you have the other set of people who say Abhutasya apare dhiraha vivadantaha parasparam. So this Abhutasya apare, you have to say Jati Michanti Vadinaha. You have to add there. Okay. The Abhutasya means non-existent. From the non-existent only the creation has come. From an abhava. That is what is called Pragabhava. Pragabhava Pratidvandvi is the existence. Okay. That means, suppose there is a ghata. So before the ghata, there was ghata pragabhava. And the ghata, from the ghata pragabhava, ghata is born. Okay, that's what they talk about. That's why here, abhudasya apare dhiraha vivadanta parasparam, they both contest, fight with each other. Okay. So if you actually look at the Siddhantas which have been there, even though we list so many darshanas, you know, Vaidika Darshana, Avaidika Darshana, then modern things like Dvaita, Visishta, Dvaita, and all that. All these can be classified into three buckets. One is Dvaitavada, then Advaitavada, then Vainashikavada. Within these three, if you see, all can be accommodated, including Abrahamic religions. See, all these are Dvaitavadis only. So whether you take Sankhya, Nayayika, Vaiseshika, Charvaka, Visishtadvaiti, Dvaiti, Christianity, Islam, anything you take, okay, even materialist, they are all Dvaitis only. The only difference between them is the nuanced position in which how this has all come about. Okay, but they all accept Dvaitam as the current state. Now, whether you classify it into 25 principles or 31 principles, there is a difference. Sankhya says there are 25. Okay. Nyaya Vaiseshika, they will come and say there are Sapta Padartha. Vaiseshika will say 6 Padarthas. Then Nayayika will say 7 Padarthas, and within that again it further classifies. Now, yeah, Charuvaka also is saying the same thing. He is also talking about Dvaitam only. So that whole set of 90% of the religions today and the darshanas which were there, you can classify them into Dvaitins. Now, then the other end of the spectrum is Vainashikas, who say there is no, the current present itself, there is nothing. At present itself, there is only Shunya. See, the Dvaitins say at present there is duality. Advaitis also say at present there is a Sat. Whereas Vainashikas, who are Bauddhas, who say that there is nothing even now. Okay, there is only Shunya. So this is the other end of spectrum. Then we have Advaitins who say all that is here is only one Vastu, which is Brahma, which hasn't undergone any change. Okay. So now we need to understand this as the three broad collections. Now, when it comes to Dvaitis, the prominent ones among those days were the Sankyavadis and Nyaya Vaiseshika. Okay, let's briefly look at what is the Sankhya philosophy. Okay, just so that before we discuss the difference between them and Nyaya Vaiseshika, Sankhya has Panchavimshati Tattvani. Sankhya talk about 25 principles. And what are those? Okay. Sankhya Darshane Yani Tattvani Vivechyante Tani Imani Vartante. These are the ones. What are they? Prakritihi, Mahan, which is Mahat, Ahankaraha. Okay. Then you have Pancha Tanmatrani, Shabda Sparsha, Rupa Rasa Gandha. So that is why. Then Ekadasha Indriyani, Pancha Karmendriya and Pancha Jnanendriya. Okay, Shrotram, Tvak, Chakshu, Jihva, Granam, Jnanendriya like Vak, Pani, Pada, Payu, Upastha, and then Karmendriya, which is these are the five Karmendriyas and the Jnanendriya which we listed first. Okay, and then there is Pancha Mahabhutani, Prithvi, Ap, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, and all this. So all these together and the Purusha added to that are 25. Okay, there are 25 tattvas for them which are eternal. Okay, so the whole world consists of these 25. What you see is made up of these 25. Then there are three pramanas for them. What are the pramana? Pratyaksham, Anumanam, and Apta Vakyam. Apta Vachanam. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Apta Vachanam eva pramana. For them, it is not like a Artha Bhakti, Anupalabdhi, Shabdam, and all they don't talk about. Apta Vachanam Pramanam because Kapila Muni has given this. So that also becomes a Pramanam for them. Okay. And Karya Karana bhava is there between this Jagat and the Karanam, which is Prakriti Purusha Samyoga. Okay, that is how their philosophy is. Okay, Prakritihi Karanam, Mahadadini Karyani. Okay, so we listed 25, right? It started with Prakriti, and then you have Mahat, Ahankara, Panchatanmatra, and all that. So everything starting from Mahat, including Ahankara, then all this Panchabhuta, all these things become Karya, effect of the Karanam, which is Prakriti. Okay. यद्यपि प्रकृतिः सूक्ष्मत्वात् इन्द्रियगोचरतां न आप्नोति तथापि महदादिरूप तत्कार्यदर्शनात् तत् सत्ता अपरिहार्येण अनुमातव्या. So you can infer that there is Prakriti even though it is not directly available for you to perceive. You know this is Mahat, which is the Buddhi. You know this is the Ahankara. Okay. Then you know these are the Panchatanmatra. You know these are the Panchakarmendriya, Pancha. These are all known to you. Purusha also is known because I am a conscious person. But what is this Prakriti? I am not seeing it. Can be the question. So they say because you are seeing all the Mahat and all these things, you can infer that there was and there is one Prakriti because of it all these have come about. Okay. So that is their Karya Karana Bhava. Then there is a Parinamavada, which is very important from a Sankhya perspective. The Sankhya says there is a modification. Okay. Modification which is the cause of this creation. Just like the modern scientists. Okay. The Big Bang theory, all these theories, what do they say? In the initial it was something else and that modified into something else. Correct, no? So if you look at the worldly creations, suppose a hen puts one egg. From that egg, chickens come out. What are these? These are all what parinama only. No? The food which is eaten by the hen goes in by the hen and the cock. They go in and then it becomes the egg and then it becomes the chicken. That also eats food. Then it grows into something else. So the birth is a parinama. So the gold became a bangle. That is also a parinama. Now the milk has become curd. That is also parinama. So every birth in the world implies there is something changing into something else. So they say this Karana Karya also is only a parinama. That's why they are called Sadvadis. Okay. So the birth is from a Sadvastu. For them, that Sadvastu is what? Prakriti. So from the existent Prakriti, the existent world is born as a modification. Karya Karanayoho Abhedaha Arthat Karanasya Eva Avastha Visheshaha Karyam. So the Karanam and Karyam are both same, but the difference is in the Avastha. Just like we have Swapna Avasthas, Jagrada Avastha and Nidra Avastha. So Sushupti Avastha. Here also the Avastha difference is there. This is a Karana Avastha. And the same thing has become Karya Avastha. It is the same Prakriti. From Karana it has become Karyam. Looks very similar to Vedanta, but it is very far. Okay, because the Moksha and the Karyam and so the difference between Purusha and Prakriti is where Sankhya there is a problem. Otherwise, you can see Sankhya is very close to what we talk in Vedanta. That's why even Brahma Sutra in Pratama Malla Nyaya, Sankhya only is picked up as the main opponent of Vedanta. Okay. So here also, if you see this, the Prakriti as Trigunatmika Prakriti, Sattva-Rajas Tamoguna, and the whole Jagat, Panchatanmatra and Pancha Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, Pranan, Mahat, Ahankara, all these things are almost similar to what Bhagavan lists in Bhagavad Gita. So we accept all these things. The only difference is Satyam Mithya. For them, both are Satyam. Now the problem there is then what is moksha is where they have a problem. Okay. For them, moksha can come only through the samya being obtained. Okay. The three gunas have to become in equilibrium. And you have to understand this 25 tattvas, then you become detached from what the Prakriti is doing by consciously recognizing that I am Purusha who is separate from this Prakriti, and you become just a witness of it. Okay. So by these things, you become aloof and you become mukta, is what they say. And the problem there is, if you are different from such a large world, that large world will still create a dukkha for you, fear for you. Okay. So Sarvatma Bhava only can liberate. These things cannot. But anyway, let's understand what Sankhya is saying here, because the context is little different here, right? Jagataha sarvamapi vastu parinami bhavati. Everything in the world is a parinama. Everything keeps changing. Okay, here they are very, very clear. Sankhyas are also very clear that the world keeps on changing. That's why this today's Dvaitis, the Madhva Dvaitis, no, they keep contending that Anityatvam we also accept, but Nityatom we won't accept. That's what they say. Okay. So here also, if you see, Sankhyas accept Anityatvam of everything. Jagataha sarvamapi vastu parinami bhavati. Everything in the world keeps changing, keeps changing, keeps changing. Okay. Nothing is stagnant. The whole world is in a flux. So they accept this point. Okay. We also accept that. Right? यच्च चिरम् एकाकारं दृश्यते तत्रापि परिणामः भवति एव, किन्तु यावदेकरूपं दृश्यते तावत् सदृशपरिणामी भवति। यदा च आकारे परिवर्तनं लक्ष्यते तदा विसदृशपरिणाम इत्येव अन्तरं वर्तते. There are certain things which will look as though it is not changing, but over a long time it is actually changing, like mountains and all that. Okay. So like that, everything keeps changing is one thing that Sankhya's talk about. Then you have this Satkaryavada. This is where this whole Karika, when we come back to the Karika, we will see the difference between Sankhya and Vaiseshika Nayayika is in terms of Satkaryavada and Asatkaryavada. For Sankhya, the Karyam is from a Satkaranam. For Vaiseshika Nayayika, the Karyam is from an Asatkaranam. Okay, that's why this is called Satkaryavada, and Vaiseshika is Vada is called as Asatkaryavada. So what is this Satkaryavada? कारणस्य एव अवस्थाविशेषः कार्यमिति पूर्वम् उक्तम्. अर्थात् कार्यं पूर्वतः एव स्वकारणे विद्यमानं वर्तते. The karya is already there in the karana in a seed form. Okay? The huge vatavriksha or the tree, right, is already there in a small seed. All the software necessary to make, okay, the karyam is already there in the seed form. Okay, the small droplet, of an egg can create, such a huge animal or plant or whatever. Okay, therefore he says swakaryam karyam purvavatyeva swakarane vidyamanam vartate idameva antarmyate karanavasthayam tad avyaktam karyavasthayam cha vyaktam bhavati. Only difference is whether it is manifest or unmanifest. In the seed form, all the um, what do you say, all the aspects of the karya, okay, all the intelligence, all the details are in the form of an unmanifest or a shrunk form. Okay, but it is there, you can't say it. Then only you, if you put mango seed, you will get only mango tree, you won't get coconut tree. Okay, if you put coconut seed, you will get only coconut tree. That means what? All the aspect of coconut tree should be there in the seed, then only it can bring out the right kind of tree, isn't it? Therefore he says karyavasthayam cha vyaktam bhavati yata tileshu tailam. Okay, the oil, is it there in the tila or not? The dingli, it is already there. Only thing is you don't see it. Now once you crush it, you get it out. That means what? It was already there. Even though we can't even find where it is. This oil is. Okay? यतो हि कारणं सत् अतः कार्यमपि सते सदैव. So karyam is also sat, karanam is also sat. Iti, that is their vada, Sankhya-vada. प्रसिद्धम् अयं सांख्य सिद्धान्तः न सतः आत्मलाभः न सतः आत्महानिः. Okay. तत्कार्यवाद स्थापनायाः पञ्चहेतवः Mule Drashtavya. Then they talk about gunas. Okay. Prakriti. Let's understand what is Prakriti. Again, it is very interesting. Praguktanam gunanam Sanyavastha eva Prakriti. Samyavastha eva Prakriti. Okay. The Triguna. Guna, you know what it is? Sattva, Rajas, Tamo Guna. When the gunas are in Samya Avastha, equilibrium, that is what is called Prakriti. So the seed form of creation is just equilibrium of Sattva, Rajas, Tamo Guna. येषु गुणेषु चेतनसंयोगेन यदा वैषम्यं प्रारभ्यते तदा सृष्टेः पूर्वमिदं निखिलं कार्यरूपं जगदस्यामेव प्रकृता प्रकृतौ अव्यक्तरूपेण तिष्ठति अतः एव यं व्यक्तम् अपि उच्यते. Okay, so how does then the sriti happen? Prakriti is in a samyavastha where there is equilibrium. Then what happens? This purusha goes and enters that. Okay, when the purusha becomes into the prakriti, okay, the samyoga happens. Then Nikilam Karya Rupam Jagat. So the Prakriti becomes this entire Jagat because the Purusha, the consciousness has gone in. The moment consciousness goes in, the equilibrium is created. Till a consciousness mind gets in, everything is in equilibrium only. Only when human being comes in, then the all equilibrium gets disturbed. Okay. सर्गो अस्य एव प्रारभ्यते अतः प्रधानं मूलप्रकृतिः वा इयमेव उच्यते. Okay, so that's called मूलप्रकृति. यद्यपि जडा इयं तथापि पुरुषस्य भोगाय अपवर्गाय वा विना स्वार्थं प्रवर्तते. Okay. In fact, about Purusha, it is said the Prakriti cannot change, okay, create a situation unless for somebody to consume it. Okay, a conscious entity has to consume. Then only the Prakriti will do a job. Otherwise, why it should change? Why should guna changes happen? So somebody has to consume it. So which means then there should be a conscious thing which is consuming, which is separate from Prakriti. That's how Purusha is defined. See, yata स्वास्त्रिता शय्या जडपदार्थ रूपा स्वस्यै तस्या कोपि उपयोगः. Okay, without somebody consuming, there is no use of these things changing. Okay. Therefore, ताम दृष्ट्वा अनुमीयते यत् कोपि अस्या उपभोक्ता अवश्यं स्यात्. Therefore, we can infer that somebody is going to be benefited by the changes in the Prakriti. And that inference is what shows there is a Purusha. Otherwise, how do you know there is a separate Purusha inside this body? Okay, who is experiencing all this? How do you say it is separate from the Prakriti itself? It can be part of Prakriti. You know, the modern science question is, why can't you say that consciousness is a product of material world? Matter changes, and the matter by combination it creates a consciousness. Suppose you say that is the modern science way of one argument is consciousness is a byproduct of inert. But here Sankhya says the inert things need to change. The change has to be perceived by a conscious. Then only there is a purpose of something changing. Okay, without a upabhokta, what is the purpose of the jada to change? Therefore, you can infer that there is something which is apart from this prakriti which is becoming a upabhokta. एवमेव प्रकृतिः अपि जडरूपा स्वस्यै तस्याः न कोऽपि उपयोगः अतः अस्याः उपभोक्ता कोऽपि चेतनः अवश्यं भवेत् इति पुरुषकल्पना आवश्यकी. Therefore, a conscious purusha can be inferred because that conscious purusha also is not seen. Only this panchabhuta and all these things you are seeing. So the purusha is only inferred. Okay, and then there is a definition Sankhya of what is a purusha. Ayam cha purusha. Chetanaha, conscious, Drashta, Sakshi, the one who is the witness, Bhokta, who is the enjoyer, Ekarasaha, he doesn't have parts, he is only one full consciousness, but not all pervading consciousness. Okay? He is Ekarasa sitting inside this body. Aparinami, he doesn't undergo any change. Asamhritascha, asti. Gunaha tu achetanaha. All the gunas are inert. Drishyaha, bhogyaha, parinaminaha, samhatascha santi. All the attributes are direct opposite of consciousness. Ete cha purushaha bhagavaha santi. There are many such purusha. Every human being, every life is one purusha. Okay? Ant is one purusha. Each human being is a purusha. Each bird is a purusha. Like that, there are so many purushas and one prakriti, which becomes this manifest external world. Okay? That is their idea. And where does it start? Mahat. They have something called Mahat. Prakritehe Satvikamshad Adi Tattvam Pratamam Utpadyate Tadeva Mahat Buddhi Tattvam Va Nigadyate. This is very similar to Vedanta. The first thing which comes out is Mahat. And that Mahatattvam is what in Vedanta we call as Hiranyagarbha. Actually, Ahankara is called Hiranyagarbha. Mahatattvam is one step before Hiranyagarbha, which we can call as Mahavishnu also. Okay. That Mahat is Samashti Buddhi, which does the Sankalpa, because of which Ahankara is born. And that Ahankara Samashti is what we call in Vedanta parlance as Hiranyagarbha. And from that, the Panchabhuta and other Srishti take place. And for Mahat to be formed, we talk about an Avyakrita, and that Avyakrita only is Tadaikshata Bahusyam Prajayeye iti, then this Mahat is formed. Okay. So if you look at the gradation, you have the Jagat, and the Adhara for Jagat is Hiranyagarbha, and the Adhara for Hiranyagarbha is Mahattattva, and the Mahattattva's Adhara is what? Is Avyakrita, and for that it is Param Brahma. That is how the Vedanta, each one is dependent on other, and therefore they are all Mithya Brahmaiva Satyam. But in the case of Sankhya, all these are independently real. So we need to remember that. And even when a moksha is gained, it is gained as though I am separate from them, not as though I am all of them. So there is it looks very similar, but still there is a huge difference. So this Mahatattvam is Prakritehe Satvikamshat यत् तत्त्वं प्रथमम् उत्पद्यते तदेव महत् बुद्धि तत्त्वं वा निगद्यते. Okay, this is the buddhi tattvam, which is called mahat. Sattva pradhanatvad atra lagutvam prakashascha vidyete. Okay, and that is the intelligence is there because it is a buddhi tattvam and it is sattva pradhanam. Okay, adyavasayatmakam idam karyakarya nirnayatmakam iti. Because of free will, that I will do only to the dharma. Therefore, punya papa is effect of what? The buddhi only. That's why here Sankhya also says, Purushasya bhoga apavargayoho mukyam sadhanam etadeva. Okay. And not punya papa as well as bhoga apavarga, whether to choose moksha or to enjoy, that decision also is taken by this mahat only. Prakriti purushayoho sukshma veda abhivyaktihi api anenaiva bhavati. Okay. So, Prakriti Purusha Veda also is arrived at through only this Mahatattva. So, that is about Mahat. Okay, we can't go too deep more into the Sankhya, but let's just quickly see the high level item. Then Ahankara. Here, I think it is very similar to Vedanta only. Pratikshanam Parinamitaya Mahati Stitad Rajoguna Gunat Ahankaraha Utpadyate. Satvika Amshat what utpadyate? Mahat utpadyate. And from the Rajasamsha, this Ahankara is born. And the Ahankara also, Samashti Ahankara is called Hiranyagarbha. The Vyakti Ahankara is called this Jiva. Okay. Aham mama abhimanaha eva ahankara. This is me. This is mine. This abhimana is ahankara. And again and again I am saying Samashti, Veshti, Hiranyagarbha and all that, but that is only from Vedanti perspective. In the case of Sankhya, ahankara is its own reality. Okay. And it is a parinama of Prakriti. Okay. Prakriti is the Karana, and the Karya Jagat includes Mahat, it includes Ahankara, it includes Tanmatra, it includes Indriya, it includes Panchamahabhuta. All these things are part of the Karya, which is a Parinama of the Karana, which is the Prakriti. And why did this Prakriti become all this? Because Purushas entered and created the imbalance, inequilibrium. And how do the Purusha get moksha? By seeing the fact that these are all Prakriti and staying away from it. That is what Kapila Muni said. And this Sankhya is referred to in Upanishads. It is in Brahma Sutra. In Mahabharata also, Badarayana, Vyasa talks about it. So all the earliest granthas also contain the Sankhya. It is considered one of the oldest philosophies other than Vedanta. Sankhya, the one created by human, Kapila Muni, it is probably the oldest available philosophy. Then you have the Tanmatrani, we know what they are, Panchamahabhuta. Then Karanam, Sukshma Shariram, Samyogat Srishtihi. Okay, this we can quickly see. Okay, Samyogat Srishtihi. How does the Srishti happen? Prakriti Purushayoho Samyogat Srishtihi Bhavati. Prakritau Kriya Shakti Vartate. Into Chetanatvam Nasti. Okay, in the Prakriti there is Kriya Shakti. But Shakti alone can't do, no, somebody has to use the Shakti. Okay, the capacity is there in the Prakriti, but a conscious only can use. See, a car, Tesla car can have any kind of capability, but somebody has to put the key and go, no? So that conscious has to be there. Now here they say Kriya Shakti Prakrito Vartate, Kintu Chetanatvam Nasti. It doesn't have its own intelligence. So Purushe Chetanatvam Vartate, Kriya Shakti Nasti. In Purusha, there is no Shakti. All he has is only Chetanatvam. So this fellow comes and uses. Like we sit in like huge machines and use, right? Only thing we have is the intelligence. Everything else is in the machine. Shakti is in the machines only. Like a big aircraft. One small guy is sitting and then lifting the aircraft and going. Okay. It carries tons and tons of things and flying. It may have all capacity, but somebody has to be the pilot. No? So that's how they look at this. The whole Samyoga between Purusha and Prakriti is what makes things function. Okay. Shadang Panka Pankavan Pankavan Davad Ubayoho Samyogate. Okay, it gives an example. Sargaha Prabhavati idam atra कृतं यत् पुरुषस्य चेतनत्वं प्रधानस्य क्रियावत्वं च परस्परम् अपेक्षते. Okay, so that is how this is the whole idea of Sankhya. Okay, now we will stop on Sankhya. Let's also look at Nyaya Vaiseshika. We know that they talk about Sapta Padarthaha. Okay, there are 7 Padarthas, Dravya Guna Kriya and all these things. Okay, and for them Srishti is what? The Abhava Pratiyogi. That also we have seen. Okay, we will stop on those things. Now come to the Karika. Bhutasya jati michanti katam dvaitinaha parasparam viruddhyante iti uchyate. So Shankaracharya introduces the third verse saying, how are they mutually contradicting each other, the Dvaitis? Okay, and 2 types of Dvaitis only we have picked up here, Sankhya and Nyaya Vaiseshika, not the current Madhva Dvaitis and all that. They also call themselves as Tattvavada. So they are very close to Nayayika only, the current Dvaitis. Vishta Dvaiti also is a Dvaiti. Anybody who is not a pure Advaiti is a Dvaiti only. You can call it Visishta Advaitam, but it is still Dvaitam because you are recognizing Guna. So the Kalyana Guna and all that, when you say there are 2 Gunas means Dvaitam only. No? Even 1 Guna to say there is a Guna Guni difference. So if there is a Guna Guni difference, then Dvaitam has already come. So there is no Visishtam and all. You can call it Visishtam Advaitam, but it is Dvaitam. So all these are also Dvaitis, but here we are considering primarily the Vaiseshika Nayayika on one side and Sankhya on the other side. Bhutasya vidyamanasya vastunaha jatim utpattimichanti vadinaha kechideva hi Sankhyaha. Okay, what are the Sankhya saying? We just saw the creation is from the existing Prakriti. Okay, there is a existing Prakriti from which this whole world is formed. World has come about. That Prakriti through Purusha, the Sattva Tamas imbalance is caused. Then Mahat is formed, Ankara is formed, Panchabhutas are formed, Indriyas are formed, everything is formed. But formed out of what? Prakriti. So Prakriti Parinama only has created the Jagat. Therefore, Bhutasya Vidyamanasya Vastunaha Jati Mutpati Michanti. From the existing only, this world is born. Okay. So, who Kechideva? Only few people who are Sankhyaha. The Sankhya's consider the world as born out of an existing Prakriti. Na sarve eva dvaitinaha. Not all Dvaitis. So, there is other set of Dvaitis who are what? यस्मात् अभूतस्य अविद्यमानस्य अपरे वैशेषिकाः नैयायिकाश्च धीराः धीमन्तः प्रज्ञाभिमानिनः इत्यर्थः. Shankaracharya says the avidyamanasya from the abhava, pragabhava pratiyogi is what is the srishti for the Nayyayika. So abhutasya avidyamanasya, okay, yasmat apare vaiseshikaha Nayyayikascha, what do? They also jati mutpattim ichanti. The birth is from the non-existent abhava, non-existence or abhava. From that it is born. They are dhimantaha, he says. This Karikakara says dhiraha, Shankaracharya says dhimantaha, and then says prajnabhimaninaha, who think they are very smart. Okay, that's what it means here. Vivadantaha viruddham vadantaha hi anyonyam ichanti jetumiti abhipraya. They are fighting against each other. Okay, viruddham vadantaha. Each one is negating the other. How are they negating? He is going to say in the next Karika, Bhutam na jayate kinchid, Bhutam naiva jayate, Vivadanto dvaya hyevam, Ajatim kyapayanti te. It is, if it is already there, how can there be a birth? Okay. If there is a non-existence, how can something come from non-existence? So both of them, by negating each other, what are they proving is birth itself is not possible. Advaya ki evam ajatim kyapayanti. Ajatim means no birth. You cannot have a birth from existence, because existence means it is not born. You are saying parinama. Let's see whether parinama has a reality in it. Okay, but from a vastu perspective, if the vastu is already there, right? Let's say prakriti is what you are saying is the vastu. It is already there. No, where is the question of birth? If you are saying it is like born from a void or sashavishana, how come a sashavishana, a rabbit's horn, give birth to another horn? It's impossible. Therefore, what you are proving is birth itself is not possible. Is what you people are actually proving. Is what Shankara is what Karikakara says. Bhashyam. Thairevam viruddha vadanena अन्योन्य पक्ष प्रतिषेधम कुर्वद्भिः किम ज्ञापितं भवति इति उच्यते. Okay, viruddha vadanena, by saying this opposite viewpoints of how the srishti is created, okay, anyonya paksha pratishedam kurvatvihi, by negating each other's contention, what gets established? Kim kyapitam bhavati is bhutam vidya. That is what this verse is saying. It's how he introduces bhutam vidyamanam vastu na jayate kinchit. If it is already existent, then there is no birth. You cannot call it a birth. Vidyamanatva. Okay. Because it's already existent. How Atmavati? So this is who is saying this. The Nayayika is telling, Vaiseshika is telling the Sankhya. What is he telling Sankhya? Hey, you are saying that it already exists. Vidyamanam vastu. Okay, from a Vidyamanam Vastu, there cannot be another birth. You can only say Vidyamanam Sat Parinamate, you are saying, but that Parinama itself, is it real? Let's say gold has become a chain. When gold has become a chain, you can say chain was born of gold, but is it really born is a question, right? And you cannot say gold is born because gold already existed. You can only say chain is born. But is that birth really a birth is a different question. Therefore, this Nayayika is telling the Sankhya, Vidyamanam vastu na jayate. Kinchite Vidyamanatvateva. You are saying already it exists. So where is the birth? How Atmavate, like Atma. Atma, even as a child, newborn Atma is there. Then as a youth, Atma is there. As a grown up, Atma is there. As a old man, Atma is there. Is Atma born between a baby and a youth? No. Only the mind keeps growing, brain keeps going, but I as an Atma am always there. So Atmavati iti evam vadane asadvadi Sankhya paksham pratishedati sajjanma. So the asadvadi, the Nayayika Vaiseshika, who says everything is born from asad, they contest the Sankhya fellow and says, hey, your birth is not acceptable. Because for you, you are saying it already exists. So how come you are now saying it is born? Iti, these fellows negate them. Okay, pratishedati sajjan. Similarly, tata abhutam avidyamanam avidyamanatvat naiva jayate sasavishanavati iti evam vadanne Sankhyaha api asadvadi paksham asajjanma pratishedati. What is Sankhya telling the Nayayika Vaiseshika? He says from a non-existent something, something can't be born. Sasavishanavati. So a non-existent rabbit's horn cannot give birth to another rabbit. It is impossible. Therefore, your so Sankhya is saying your abhava cannot be a pratyogi. It can be a pratyogi, but it cannot give birth to a bhava padartha. Therefore, he negates this flow. Both of them are contest fighting with each other. Vivadantaha viruddham. Maybe those days probably they were all fighting. Okay, so now Advaiti Vedanti is saying vivadantaha viruddham vadantaha advayaha अद्वैतिनः हि एते अन्योन्यस्य पक्षौ सदसतोः जन्मनि प्रतिषेधन्तः अजातिम् अनुत्पत्तिम् अर्थात् ख्यापयन्ति प्रकाशयन्ति ते. So they are lighting up what? The fact that there is no birth. This birth is also not possible. That birth is there are only two possibilities. Either something is born from an existent, or you are born from a non-existence. So because each one of them is able to negate the other by giving valid logic, all that it proves is any kind of birth is not possible. Vivadantaha viruddham vadantaha advaitinah advayaha hi ete अन्योन्यस्य पक्षौ सदसतोः जन्मनि प्रतिषेधन्तः सज्जन्म as well as asajjanma, both of them are negated because of it ajatim anutpattim arthat kyapayanti prakashayanti te. If they are by implication they are proving that there is only ajati, which has been already covered by us in this the second and third prakarana. The ajadivada was already spoken about. Even the Srishti that Upanishad is talking about is only to show the Mithyatvam of Jagat. Okay, to show the Karanam Satyam, Karyam Mithya is why the Jati is spoken about and all we already have covered. Okay, Khyapyamanam Ajatim Tairanumodamahe Vayam Vivadamona Sardham Avivadam Nibodhata. So Karikakara says we don't have any fight with them. We happily accept whatever they are saying. Chapyamanam ajatim taihi anumodamahe vayam. We will say you whatever you are saying is correct. Whatever Sankhya says, we accept. Yeah, you are right. Nothing can be born from abhava. And whatever Nayayika Vaiseshika says from an existing another cannot be born, that also we accept. So both of them will say, yeah, you are correct. This fellow also will say you are correct. And that's what he says. Kyapyamanam ajatim taihi anumodamahe vayam. So we Advaitis, we will accept both what they are saying. Vivadamo nataihi. We won't argue with either of them. What is there to argue? Okay. Whatever they are saying, we are accepting. Sardham avivadam nibodhata. So now you try to understand from us what is the avivada paksha. Okay, paramartha darshanam. Because both the things are already negated. Now you can, we Vedantis will tell you what is the Satya Swarupa. Okay, that's how he says, Taihi evam kyapyamanam bhashya. Taihi evam kyapyamanam ajatim evamastu iti anumodamahe kevalam. Okay. The ajati, whatever you guys are saying, that is how it is. Iti kevalam anumodamahe. So we will accept whatever you guys are saying. Nataihi sardham vivadamaha. We will not go and argue with these folks because there is nothing to take position. He says, Paksha Pratipaksha Parigrahena. I won't take either Sankhya's position, nor will I take Nayayika's position. From what is the real Swarupa of the Vastu, to the extent that how they are negating the others, that part we will concur with them. Okay, but then what is really, so are you accepting Sankhya or are you accepting Nayayika? It will be your question. We are saying we won't even accept that there is a creation. Okay, only both of them are arguing because they are accepting that there is a Srishti. Their premise is the world has been created because everything they are seeing seems to be created. So a chain, there is creation. House, there is creation. Human being, there seems to be a creation because there is a birth. Okay, any object you see in the world seems to be created. So as a whole, this Srishti also then would mean a creation is what their basic premise is. And then they are arguing, first of all, they have assumed that creation is true. Okay. Now their argument is whether it was created from an existent or non-existent. That is what they are arguing. But the basic premise is that this is created itself, we don't agree. Okay, you guys by fighting and dismissing each other, you are only proving my point that any kind of Srishti is not possible at all. Okay, that is what is the idea. Nataihi sardam vivadamaha paksha pratipaksha parigrahena. We won't take either this paksha or that paksha. Yatade anyonyam iti abhipraya. Like they are mutually fighting with each other. Like that, we don't have to go and take one point or another point and fight with them. Because to the extent that they see, already we saw in the Advaita Prakaranam, Bhashyakara says, we understand where everybody is coming from. Because we are sitting on an elephant. He gives an example that somebody is sitting on an elephant and there is another guy coming on the ground. And then he says, I am also sitting on an elephant. Why don't you push your elephant on me? Suppose he says, so will this guy who is sitting on the elephant send the elephant on the other guy? He won't. Because he knows only he is sitting on the elephant. The other fellow is in an illusion that he is sitting on an elephant. But being the one who is sitting on the elephant, who is actually having an Advaita view, he can understand, he or she can understand where the others are coming from. If some the other example we can give is when somebody has eyesight, he is looking at an elephant, whereas the other six blind people are looking at the elephant, touching the elephant and saying it's like a wall, it is like a rope, it is like a fan, it is like something else, wall or pillar. Now, do we fight with them? We don't have to fight with them because we know why somebody is saying it looks like a pillar. We know that because he is touching the leg. We know why another guy is saying it is elephant is like a wall because he is touching the stomach, belly. Another guy is saying it is like a snake, big python. Why? Because he is touching the trunk. So we know because we have the full picture, we exactly know where they are coming from. So we don't have to fight with them. Okay, because we understand where Advaiti is coming from. It is so clear, right? It's not that we everybody started as an Advaiti on day one. Everybody starts as a Dvaiti only. Our whole Vyavahara is Dvaita Vyavahara. So despite the perception of Dvaita, we recognize the reality as Advaita. See, that is this jnana. It doesn't take away the perception of Dvaita. The perception that I am here, you are here, there is a wall behind me is still there. For a jnani also, that perception is there. The perception is not the problem. The reality is what is the question here. Okay. Now, for a Dvaiti, he or she thinks everything is real, right? And Advaiti looks at it with the knowledge, everything is perceived as dual, but in reality, it is only Advayam Brahma. Okay. Therefore, you can clearly recognize where a Dvaiti is coming from, where a Visishta Dvaiti is coming from, where a Nayayika is coming from, where a Sankyavadi is coming from. Therefore, we have no fight with them. That's what Karikakara said earlier. Okay, so we can understand where they are coming from. So there is no vivada. Ataha tam avivadam vivadarahitam paramartha darshanam anujnatam asmabihi nibodhata he sishyaha. He sishyas, that nibodhata word is there. So Bhashyakara says, He sishyaha, hey my students, may you understand, we have no debate with them. Aviva, in fact, there is no point in having a vivada with them. Okay, this is like that illusion guy want to fighting with the guy who's sitting on the elephant. You can't make him understand, right? He is in unless you give him the knowledge. First of all, you need to bring him upon the elephant to make him see what it is. Till as long as he is standing on the floor, he will never understand. So for him to now climb the floor, elephant, he should first agree to climb. No? Then only you can make him climb the elephant and make him see the world. If he doesn't want to even listen to you, he wants to only fight. Okay. If you fight also, he'll only get crushed. But he won't even understand that he is getting crushed because he is still in the illusion that he is also sitting on the elephant. Oh, my elephant is not moving fast, is what he will think. Okay. That is what is happening with the, today. I tried to argue with somebody on the YouTube. So the person, there is so much of anger, especially some of these other Sampradaya people. They somehow see that they have been taught also that Shankara was a Buddha and he was sent just to confuse the world. And they have a story also. It is some Bhagavan, some Rakshasa went to Bhagavan and then Bhagavan sent this person to confuse the world. Therefore, he came as Shankaracharya to as a crypto Buddhist and all that stuff. Okay, this is what they argue, and you go and tell them also, they get so angry with you. Okay, and they become very abusive. What do you do? So there's no point in doing a vivada and all that. Okay, let them whatever they believe, let them believe go. Unless they want to learn or understand, you cannot teach anyone, right? For that matter. Okay, but you can also argue that Dvaiti will also say you guys are not understanding our perspective. What is the Dvaiti perspective, right? Dvaita is something you already know. You are just adding some layers of Dvaita on top of it. That is all you are doing, isn't it? You are saying you believe in this person, that person, four types of Swarga, this, that, right? Within the Dvaita Vyavahara that you already have engagement in, you are adding few more things. That is what you are doing. That we understand. What is some nuances here and there we may not understand because we haven't studied their philosophy in full. But the basic premise we understand, right? But how much you have understood when we say Advayam Brahma? He comes and asks me, how can Brahman know itself? That kind of a question he asks. Anyway, that means he hasn't understood what we are even talking about. So, atah tam avivadam vivadarahitam paramartha darshanam anujnatam asmabihi nibodhata he sishyaha. Okay. This then this is avivadarahitam paramartha darshanam. There is no vivada in this Advaita Jnana because it explains everything. See, it's a very comprehensive because everything is explained to Ishvara. What is your relationship with Ishvara? And all these can be recognized. It is not a belief. It is not like saying he's sitting somewhere in some Golok Vrindavan and then he created and sent you for some purpose and sometimes he'll come and see you and if you follow this guy you will go and meet him. Not that kind of a belief. In Advaita Drishti, the Isvara can be recognized. Okay, in the cognized. That's why this is called cognitive knowledge. Your Swarupa as Sarvam can be cognized. And Ishvara as Sarvavyapi can be cognized, right? And the whole Srishti can be is logically shown how they fit into the whole scheme. Okay. That is a Vyashti Samashti. And the Niyati, Dharma, all these things together will make you see the full picture. Okay, that's why there is no vivada with anything. We have no problem with the Ishvara Upasana, Bhakti. Some people think that Advaita means you can't have Bhakti, you can't relate to Ishvara. This is all what no, lack of understanding. Therefore, there is no vivadam at all. Everything is easily accounted for, and that is the comprehensive drishti. That is why it is called Samyak Darshanam. And here Bhashikara calls it as Paramartha Darshanam. Anujnatam Asmabihi. Okay, Nibodata He Sishyaha. Then the next verse, Ajatasya dharmasya jati vichanti vadinaha ajato hyamruto dharmaha matyatam katameshyati. This one and next two verses have already been covered in Advaita Prakarana. Na bhavatyamrutam martyam namartyam amrutam tatha prakriteranyata bhavaha na katanchit bhavishyati. स्वभावेन मृतो यस्य धर्मो गच्छति मर्त्यताम् कृतकेनामृतस्तस्य कथं तास्यति निश्चलः. So these three verses already have been commented by Bhashikara. He says, Ayantu purastat kritabhashyah slokaha. This shloka has already been commented on. Okay, and he also says, Uktatanam shlokanam iha upanyasaha paravadi pakshanam अन्योन्य विरोध ख्यापित अनुत्पत्त्या मोदन प्रदर्शनार्थ अनुत्पत्ति आमोदन प्रदर्शनार्थः. Okay, these verses are repeated because it is relevant in the contention that is happening between these two people. Okay, so therefore this ajativada shlokas are repeated here, karikas. One is ajatasya eva dharmasya jati vichanti vadinah. The dharma means here is atma, which is ajata. It is unborn. Unborn because only what has attributes can be born. What has avayava can be born. Nirakara, Niravayava, Nirguna, Ekarasagdhana, which is Prajnapti, how can it be born? Birth has to be there means it first of all when you say the birth means there should be time. Okay, that is the first requirement. Before this point of time, it was not there. After this point of time, it is there. Only that is called birth. Okay, it was in a different form and it is in a different form. It had a small leg, now it has a big leg. Something has to be there. Now, if time itself is Karya and Brahman, which is the Karana for the time itself, how can it be born in time? Because the time has to be born for something to be born in time. Okay. Therefore, the Adhara for the time, for the space, for the objects, it cannot be born in time. Therefore, Ajatasya Dharmasya, the Dharma, which is Atma Dharma, which is one of, there is no birth, which is the cause of the time itself. For that Jati Michanti Vadinaha, they are trying to understand how it is born in the time. Okay, Ajato hi Amrito Dharmaha Matyatam Katameshyati. Okay, that which is Amrita Dharma. And again you are saying it is dead also. Okay, there is Pralaya, this and that. Okay, that which is not born, where is the death? Where is the question of birth and all that? So it has already been commented upon. We will quickly see next class. Okay. Om पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद.